Before we actually play the game, we need to set up the mine count for every block. So we're going to do this at the beginning of the game, right? And what I mean by that is when you click a block, you need to know how many mines are around it, or of course we already know if it's a mine or not, but if it's a number, we need to display those numbers, right? So we're going to go to the level, and we're going to, after we generate the mines, we're going to initialize all the blocks mine count. And what we're talking about is this variable, right? How many mines around it, right? Now, if it has a mine, that's okay. It's a mine. But if it doesn't have a mine, we want to know how many mines around it. So we need that function, mine count. And we're going to iterate through all the blocks. So we have a nested loop through all the blocks, rows and columns. These are the steps. So the first step is we need to get all the blocks around each block, right? So we're going to take a block, we're going to look at all the blocks around it, and we're going to look how many mines there are on those blocks. And then we'll also, at this point, I want to reveal those numbers, so we want to see those numbers. We'll do that later. So we need a function, get contiguous blocks, and also count the number of mines around on those. So the first function is going to be get the contiguous blocks. You'll give me the row, or we'll be given the row and column, and we need to get all the blocks around that row and column block. And then we need to return it. So we're going to set up a loop that goes from 1 to the left through 1 to the right on the rows, and the same thing. So 1 left, middle, and then 1 right, and the same thing, 1 above, 1 below with the rows and the columns, right? So that will generate a 3 by 3. So essentially we're looking at a 3 by 3 matrix around this row and column. Okay, so as we iterate through this, we need to make sure we don't count ourselves, right? We don't want to count ourselves over here if we're in the row, just everything around. So just avoid counting ourselves. And then the next issue will be, you need to be sure that we're in bounds, right? We're in bounds and that this is playable. So when we choose these rows and columns and we go 1 left, 1 right, you might be on the edges and then you're out of bounds. So you need to be sure that you're in bounds. We'll do this function in a moment, right? And we also want to know if it's playable. Not sure right now why that's there. I think in the beginning when this occurs, they're all playable. But anyway, I could check that later. So if everything works out, I don't need this. If everything works out, we'll add that block to the list, right? And of course, we also have to return it. So let me control the OK. So this is the function. Let's just be sure I'm missing a curly brace here, maybe one more. Yeah, that looks like it. So once we're finished, we return those blocks. So now we need this function inbounds, right, to check if we're in bounds. So we'll put that function right here, inbounds, and oops. And all it does is to check if you're within the rows and columns. All right, so Control K, Control D, I think, might be some curly braces, but anyway. So this is the get contiguous blocks. Now, once we have those blocks, we need to count the number of mines, right? And we need to set that on the block. So we'll put that right here. And here's the function. So you'll give us all the contiguous blocks around We'll set up a counter, we'll go through it. If it has a mine, we increase the counter and we return the counter. So now, back over here is we set the mine count. So, and all the mines on the blocks will be set. It looks like I'm missing a semicolon here. Okay, this turned out to be something else. This is actually, I want to do a show block sprite, and I want to set the game state to player, right? So this actually is show block sprite, controller game state, and then player. So change that. Let's save everything, and let's go to the game and test it out. Level 1. Oops. So level 1, if I click, and as you see, those numbers look correct, right? 2, 3, yeah. See, so those are the numbers that we just set for those mines. Let's go to level 2 here. Yeah. Now, of course, in the beginning of the game, we're not going to show this, but anyway, for our purposes, we want to check this out. So this looks pretty good, and same here.